Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really pleased to open and introduce this workshop. I had the pleasure in the last few years to be the Italian responsible for some of the books from Professor Kotler, and mainly for the last one is Marketing Management. Professor Kotler, we are at the 16th edition, waiting for the 17th. And in the meantime, we are working on principles. No? So it's an honor for us to have you with us today, and it's an honor also to have Giuseppe with you. Probably Professor Kotler does not need any additional presentation apart from the fact, let me remind everybody, the first book of marketing management coming from Professor Kotler was in the late 60s, beginning of 70s. So, and now we are at the 16th edition, and Professor Kotler is continuing to give us some new ideas about marketing. And Giuseppe is the CEO of Spring Studios, which is an international consulting and marketing agency, and has wrote together with Professor Kotler a couple of previous books. We are here today, sorry, it's marketing, so I show the product. We are here today to present this book and the ideas under the book that is going to be published in these hours in Italy. And the title is Rivoluzione Retail, which is revolutioning retail. No? Not only evolutioning, but revolutioning retail. And so my question for Giuseppe and for Phil is the following, and we start from this, and then I leave to you the ground. Why we need a revolution? That's point number one. And since the subtitle is 10 tips for doing this well, when there is a revolution, we need some ideas, some rules, some tips. So which are the suggestions you can give us, no, to revolution and to manage the revolutions of retail?
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you for starting the program, and your thoughts are certainly welcome as we go through the discussion. I think that retailing is the most dynamic area in marketing, and there are good things and bad things happening. Bad things, what do I mean by that? Well, some very big retailers sometimes disappear, like the Sears store, which was so important to the economic development of the United States. And now Sears is closed down. And I can name a number of other stores that didn't adapt to a changing environment. The good news is that retailing continues to innovate. For example, there's a store now called the Amazon Go store, and you go in mainly when you just want to take something off the shelf, any of the shelves. This would be products that you're going to eat something, or you're going to need a razor or something, and you don't have any clerk in the store. You don't have to have anything but you don't even have to have your credit card, because they probably know your credit card. And then you just take off the shelf what you want and you leave. Well, that's innovative. But, we haven't done enough innovation. Well, let's take the following in mind. What about having stores for people who don't have very much income? And I'm thinking of groceries that are needed for people in their households. Well, all right, so we innovated what are called dollar stores. And the dollar stores are, the only problem they have is they're no longer just at $1. They're maybe a couple of dollars, but maybe we need a store for people who grocery stores, let's say, that need to get help on the problem they have, which is, let's say, diabetes. There's a lot of people with that problem, and maybe a store could be set up where they're not tempted to eat the wrong things, and therefore they know they're safe to see what's available in that kind of store. Or what? Look, there's many societies are aging, and maybe what we need are stores that sort of guarantee that they would be delivering health to older people by the assembly of the right products that are healthy products and affordable products and so on. So and we do see innovative stores. We see something in the United States we call Trader Joe, and you're always surprised when you go in there when you see what's available. Now, the thing is that, oh, by the way, for stores that are lower in cost for lower income people, I think Aldi's is doing a great job around the world in getting the prices down on cereals and bread and some other things like that. Now, the thing is that the reason we wrote the book is because we are so far advanced from the days when we did our shopping store by store. We would, in Italy, it still goes on. You wake up, you go to the bar, the coffee shop, and quickly get some breakfast, which is not breakfast in American or British terms, but it's at least a sweet roll and some coffee. But we also remember the days when you had your own baker, and you went to that same baker every day. You went to the same butcher when you were looking for some meat and so on. So now we're in such a different world. We're in a world of very big retailers, and I'm not restricting this to groceries. I'm talking about big shopping centers. Well, first of all, take the big stores like Walmart's and you'll see many others. There's everything in those stores. Not only do they carry fashion goods as well as groceries, but they even have a restaurant there. I think eventually Walmart will have a place with a cooking school, because that's quite close to what people have to learn how to do in buying a lot of food and so on, and doing their own cooking. So I expect revolutionary elements to appear. But the main change is the digital revolution. Namely, we are now we've gone beyond digital. AI, it's the age of AI, and even generalized AI, where we can do a faster and often a better job of satisfying the wants of customers. There's a book coming out shortly called Proximity by a friend of mine, Rob Wallman, and who says that our goal should be that when someone has a desire, it can be satisfied immediately. Wow. I don't know if the digital and the AI is going to be that capable, but what he illustrates is an increasing tendency not to build a stock of many, many goods waiting for customers to come in because you put out some ads, but don't have any stock until there's a need and then make it immediately. Now, you might say, what does that mean? So let's say I want to get a copy of a book and I want it now. Well, the truth is I don't have to go to a bookstore. I simply have to go to my cell phone and go on Amazon, and it will be on my screen in a minute. So now that's a model for what the proximity thinking is. Namely, do we have to manufacture a lot of things in inventory and wait? Or can we make more things available immediately through the raw materials and the programs that will instantly convert those materials into a product to satisfy not only customers, but a particular customer, customized. And that gets even to some idea in our book, which we call opti channels, making sure that the individual is guided to really the best channel for satisfying his or her wants. Now, there's much more to say about why this is a world of drama, retailing, and maybe we could, my colleague, Giuseppe, can tell you some more about why we are writing the book.
Thank you, Phil. Well, I think you did a great job in summarizing some of the main topics. And I guess one thing to add is it's probably interesting for the audience to understand a bit more about the subtitle. We have stressed this idea of post-digital, which you have briefly introduced, and you have mentioned, of course, AI, which tends to be the so-called elephant in the room these days. And of course, I'm the CEO of a global agency, and of course, when it comes to creative industries, the role of AI is something that we always debate, and then we always ask ourselves, what is the role of AI in a world that used to be dominated by human creativity, human ingenuity, human ideas, human creation? And so whether it's AI or it's more generally the convergence of a number of general purpose technologies, including, of course, robotics, virtual reality, augmented reality, 3D printing, the 5G, and so on and so forth. So this idea of post-digital is the idea of an era unlocked, or maybe you should say an era where a number of possibilities will be unlocked thanks to the convergence of all these general purpose technologies. So this is the first trait, right? We also say that it is the stage in which the hype meets reality. So we still talk about the digital transformation, the digital revolution, and all the things digital. However, we also claim that it's probably the time for us to start figuring out what is the role of technology and the role of digital innovation when it comes to the specific companies. It's no longer the time to argue what's the role of digital. It's more the time to put into practice what we have learned and what are the next steps and what is the roadmap. So less hype, more plans and actions, let's say. Another trait is this idea that we're not building on the past, we're building with the past. So we're not arguing that established companies will be necessarily substituted by companies like new generation companies or digital native companies. However, we argue that they need to adapt. Otherwise, this exponential gap will become unsustainable for most of the incumbents, and they will basically find themselves not equipped to deal with the new reality. So these are the traits, the main traits of this post-digital reality. And of course, when it comes to the impact that this revolution or this combination of revolutionary factors is having on any business, including, of course, retail, we find ourselves in need for new guiding principles, which is what we have tried to define in the book. Before asking you, Phil, what everybody always asks us, so what is our favorite guiding principles? I will probably ask you this question in a second. I just want to go back to the concept of opti-channel, because this is something that we pay a lot of attention to in the book. And it's slightly different from the buzzword of the last few years, which was omni-channel. So the idea, the dominant paradigm, I should say, is omni-channel. In other words, this idea that companies should prioritize and put the customer at the center of whatever they do, which is absolutely right. they should ensure that there is full alignment and full consistency and a seamless integration of all the communication and sales channels that are available for the customer. We believe that this is a great concept and it's absolutely the right North Star that every single company in the world should aim at. At the same time, we have a lot of experience supporting and consulting companies all over the world, and we have noticed, we have learned that it's in most of the circumstances, it's easier said than done. So once again, it's a great North Star, but when it comes to the implementation, when it comes to applying this concept, many companies find themselves not equipped. They don't have the right technology. They don't have the right talents. They don't have the right people. They don't have the budget that they would need to acquire those resources, that technology, to allocate the right budget in order for them to cover and to be relevant in every single available channel. And this is a consequence of a huge fragmentation of touch points and channels that is something that in the privileged part of the world we tend to experience. So the bottom line is omni-channel is a great idea, it's a great concept, and it should definitely be the North Star, because the idea of a seamless integration of all the touch points that are available to the customer is absolutely fundamental and absolutely right. However, since for many companies, when it comes to apply the theory, they struggle, we suggest that they should, rather than trying to be everywhere and being relevant for everyone, they should rather try to optimize the channels that they believe are the most relevant for the customer. So they should focus on data, trying to understand as much as possible their customers, and at that point, leverage data to infer what is the most relevant channel, which are the most relevant channels, and allocate the budget and their resources and the talents that they have in their company in a way that they get the most out of those channels. So it's more about optimization than being everywhere. So omni. This is more or less the two main concepts that I believe, in order for me to build on what Phil has said before, are at the core of the book, at least the first part of the book. Now, Phil, over to you to perhaps cover some of the guiding principles, or at least to start from the one that you prefer, which is always something that gets a lot of curiosity in our readers.
Well, the one I prefer of the 10 philosophies or principles would be to be ambitious, but also humble. And so we combine the words, and because humility is is really welcomed in this world that we live in, where too many people are so ego-driven that they hurt our world very much by the selfish and concentrated wish to just get what they can aside from others. But I don't want to go right into that now, because there's a lot of principles. I want to say more about the whole idea of retailing. There's two types of retailing action. One is where I want certain goods, and I just want them on a transactional basis. I'm not asking for any special experience with those goods. These are consumables. Like I don't want any special relationship with detergents. I just want them to be available. So that's a transactional thing. And much of, if you look at most grocery stores and so on, a lot of it is about just transacting. In fact, I would bet that most of you don't know much about any of the people serving in those stores, because half of them are packaging, are putting things on shelves. Another group is taking your money as cashiers. And maybe that's what you want in a relationship to a provider, which is very transactional. But we also know that we missed the days when we knew the butcher and we knew the baker and so on and so forth. So there's a market for what we call experiential relationships, and we have to figure out where they count in the marketplace. Now, it's very interesting that we have problems in retailing that have to be not pushed aside, but to be faced directly. For example, I mentioned detergents, which every home needs. But do you know that there are millions and millions of bottles of detergent bought and for single use and then thrown away? In an age where we have a real problem of sustainability and the warming of the planet, we've got to stop that. Stop what we call single-use products that are thrown away, and that concept covers every bottle of Coke you throw away, every detergent package you throw away. For example, I would do detergents by saying every home should have a big supply of detergent, which and in a container that is in a certain place, and the object is when you're running down, you're going to get some more put in that. You're not. Let's see if we could use less plastics and other harmful things. I do know that most branding is about the packaging. The packaging is the delivery of the brand. But it's so interesting. When I was in India, I was offering the idea that stop the branding. Just when it comes to commodities, they should all be in a big bucket, and I spoon out the amount I need, and I put it in a package that I brought with me to the store, so the store doesn't have to use paper and plastic. What I'm saying is, our book would raise questions about how to deliver goods more successfully and with sustainability to the consumers. And by the way, what is also happening is we talk a lot in the book about the difference between our messaging and so on being physical or being digital or being virtual. Because the virtual one is getting increasingly interesting. For example, I remember being in a subway in Japan. There's a lot of stores underground in Japan where the subway works, and seeing that there was a planograph on the wall showing the shelves you see in a grocery, and I could touch different parts of the wall, and it would essentially make up my package of things that I want waiting for me when I get upstairs in the store. It's sort of a planograph idea, but it's virtual. It's on the wall, but it's electronic. So I am actually touching the products I want. Why not in the home? Why do we have to go to a store at all? Why can't we basically have a piece of software that shows everything on the shelves of a store, and all I have to do is click on the ones I want, and they will be delivered to me, which would have a big impact on our economy. I mean, there would be less driving around by everyone to just pick up a few items, because there's again, I always have to think innovatively about how we can do things better than they're being done today.
Thank you, Phil. I think this is a great point, and thanks for picking one of the guiding principles. So I can choose among 9 now, and it's easier for me. Although we both know that we really like that one, and humility is paramount, as you've said, in a world where all the paradigms are shifting. I want to briefly touch on another guiding principle, and I will give you my perspective, and then I will ask Phil to build on this. It's the guiding principle is be human, and I believe it's very important. And the reason I say that is that too often we tend to say that technology is only a means to an end, and that humans will prevail, which is absolutely a great idea, a great concept. And by the way, we hope and we believe this is the case. Having said that, we believe that it is very important to ensure that there is a proper understanding of the role of technology and the role of human beings. In the book, we say technology is cool, but people are warm. And this is the idea behind the book and behind this guiding principle. And when I have discussed this guiding principle with a friend of ours and also a great marketing author, Seth Godin, when we talked about Be Human, he said, I really like this concept. And he offered this sort of additional idea. He said, you should remind people that when they go to a funeral, some people cry because they were very close to the person who passed away. However, these people wouldn't probably cry if they didn't have the same close relationship with the person. In other words, the same people who are crying at the specific event are not necessarily going to cry at the funeral of another person. However, if some sort of technological algorithm or artificial intelligence were to predict the behavior of those people, it would probably say, of course, these people cry at the funeral. So probably in order to do a proper retargeting, right before the next funeral they will attend, we should retarget them and we should send them a specific offer to buy some Kleenex probably before they go to the funeral, without taking into consideration that they were not crying. So that would be a very personalized offer and a contextually relevant, probably from a technological standpoint, offer. However, these people are not interested in that product. So personalization is crucial and technology is crucial. However, there's a big difference between being personal, which is something that human beings are very good at doing, and personalize an advertising message or a marketing message. So my point is, it is very important for marketers today to understand how to use technology, how to leverage the technology, to be fully informed and always constantly updated. Having said that, it is also very important to understand what is the role of human beings. So in our guiding principle, Be Human, we don't just say that humans are important and that, of course, the human factor will prevail. Of course, we say that humans are still the killer app. Yes, we do believe that this is the case. However, we recommend and strongly recommend all marketers to ensure that they are always aware of what technology can do, and they make an informed decision every time that they decide to delegate something to a technology or to delegate something to a human being when it comes to the customer experience. So it is not acceptable just to say that, human creativity, human ingenuity, the human ability to make a customer experience unique and warm and to perform specific tasks will be unbeatable and unbeatable. It's not enough. It's only partially true. It is important to understand what is the role of technology, and we push the concept to the point that we argue that the battleground in the next few years, considering the impact of technology, is precisely on this continuum between the two opposites, fully human, fully technological, let's say, on understanding where to position your brand, your company, your value proposition, the customer experience of your brand. Understanding what is the right point on the continuum will not only make the difference for a company in terms of success and failure, but will also determine the unique selling proposition, the value proposition, what makes that company different from the competitors. So be human is another very relevant guiding principle.
Yeah.
Phil, I don't know if you want to add something to this. I know you.
Yeah, let me add this. I'm always impressed with the maxim called high touch, high tech. And here's the thing. We should be open to the technological possibilities in that will help us serve the customer better. For example, we could make a whole restaurant run with robots if we wanted to. I've been in a restaurant now where the waiter is the person serving me is a robot, and that doesn't appeal to everyone, and that certainly means that the human is diminished in that thing. But I would not stop from advising someone to try that. We are now even thinking of utilizing another technology, drones, as a way to deliver. In other words, instead of a delivery human being coming in and knocking on the door and saying, here's your package, whether he's from the post office or somewhere else, the drone just drops it off at your doorstep. So we got to come to terms with the potentials of robots, drones. I'm in a book that I'm now writing with V. Kumar from India, which is called the transformative marketing tools. It's about transformative marketing tools. We take 8 different tools, and among the 8, 2 of them happens to be robots and then drones. And we have a chapter on each on how they will affect our technology. But I'll go further. Those of you running businesses, retail businesses, you have to get messages out to your customers and ads out and so on. And the AI is going to figure very prominently, especially what we call generative AI. For example, you don't need an agency almost anymore. This may sound anti-agency, and and they have their role to play. But so many young people who are in with the new developments are able to create their own ads with pictures, with videos. Generative AI now allows you to prompt the computer to develop either an ad in print or a picture of an ad or a video for your business. And the first try will be fairly primitive, but you go back to the very thing that was created and you make the changes you wanted to make now. And before you know it, you've done a pretty good job if you're a creative person with this new tool. So I believe retailers are going to be rushing very much into trying to hire those students who might be in our audience now, listening to us, who want to be in marketing. And there's so many ways to be in marketing, but one skill set that will be so highly desired is the ability to work with generative AI. There's no doubt in my mind.
It's a great point. We've received a question from Francesco Galli, and it's a great question. It's about basically the role of technology and, of course, generative AI, which is, again, as I've said, the elephant in the room, to mitigate the negative impacts of overconsumption And I know, Phil, this is another topic that you wrote a lot about, and we are aligned when we argue that the real role of marketing shouldn't be about pushing products. In the book, we say marketing is not about making people want things, it's about making things people want. And so this idea that marketing should work hard and marketers should work hard to ensure that there is full alignment between supply and demand. The more supply and demand are aligned, the less companies will make products that people don't like and want. And the less marketers should deploy a fortune in terms of media budget to push products and trying to convince people to buy those products, because those products will be naturally aligned with customer preferences. This is not just utopic, it's actually real marketing. This is what marketing should be about. So when it comes to the role of generative AI, when it comes to the role of technology, I would say that this is precisely the role of technology when it comes to marketing. It should help marketers, empower marketers, so that we manage to increase and to make this alignment always more accurate and precise, because in turn, this would reduce overconsumption. This would reduce the necessity to push products. This would reduce waste. This would reduce the obsolescence of products, which is all about the perception that you need to create so that you can foster consumerism and push the wheel, right? Accelerate the wheel. Instead, if we can align supply and demand, if we can help marketers make more informed decisions when it comes to which products they should or their companies should manufacture, and what is the right price to guarantee that there is a fair profit for the company, that a fair price is paid to the actors involved in the supply chain and in the value chain, and at the same time, of course, that there is great value for the customer. Well, this is great marketing, I would argue. What do you think, Phil?
Yes. Well, let me ask this question. What is the future of small businesses in retailing as opposed to the giant businesses in retailing? In Italy, I'm sure there's a tradition of successful specialized businesses in fabric making, in fashion, and so on and so forth. And every time in the United States we get a Walmart moving into a community, it's about destroying about 2 or 3 dozen businesses. So if I guess that happens elsewhere as well. What do you do as a small business to remain strong and successful when everyone now wants to go to Walmart because it's everything under one roof and so on? Well, it points out to the need for the managers of very small retail businesses to be very specialized and to target a specific audience that gets something that no Walmart will give to people. And so I want to say that I think small businesses have the opportunity to survive against the Amazons and the Walmarts, but they have to be especially dedicated to a group of people who will appreciate what their specialization is all about.
Giuseppe, I have a question that wraps up a little bit some of the examples. I was impressed by the robot at the restaurant, as well as the shop without anything, only the walls and touching the walls. And also I was thinking at the drone delivering to my home. And I have to say, sometimes it's a good experience. Sometimes maybe less. No, it depends. So my question for you is, which is the role of experience in the new retail world? No, because shopping experience is a critical concept. And now with artificial intelligence technology, but also human touch, which is the role of experience? How experience evolves in a certain sense? I don't know if Giuseppe.
I like your point very well. When I go into some shopping malls, and what is the shopping mall? It's an assembly of stores gathered so that almost every need you have is served by one or more stores. And I look into some of the stores and I see they're half empty. And I say, they don't have to be half. It is true that maybe there's too much of what they are selling and they don't stand out in any way. But I noticed that when I stopped in some of these fashion stores where you can buy some items of clothing, they're not, the experience is kind of negative. The store itself was not planned well. It doesn't have color. It doesn't have sound, music. There's nothing you want to touch and feel. And the clerk is either overbearing, trying to say, "Oh, man, how can I help you? I will do anything get you anything you want." Or they lack a sense of when I don't want to be bothered, and then there are the ones that are indifferent to my being there. By the way, when I used to go to French stores, the French would be very critical of anyone who comes in and doesn't buy something. So I didn't go into a lot of French stores just to browse. In other words, they don't welcome browsers. So when I see in shopping malls half-empty stores, they will disappear anyways, but they don't have to. They need a consultant to come in and just say, what experience are you trying to deliver and that you believe the browser wants, the visitor wants from this experience? And then if you answer that question intelligently, you'll have a lot of customers coming back.
Great point. Let me add something, and then I think we really need to wrap up because it's a bit late. We're running out of time. I just want to make a comment to build on what Phil has just said and to give you my perspective on the topic that you have raised. And I'll tell you what we wrote in the book. In the book, we talk about experience, we talk about the sales ritual, we talk about the role of humans when it comes to the customer experience in a physical store. And we tell a story, which is, by the way, a personal story. So it was me speaking in that specific instance in that chapter. And so let me tell you the story. Let's say I'm currently in London. It's 5:21 p.m. here. I'll probably, right after this webinar, I will catch up with a few emails. I'll have probably another meeting. And at some point, I will go home. And tonight, I have friends coming because they like the way I cook. And I love cooking. Being Italian, an Italian in London, they tend to love what I cook. And so imagine I leave my office around 6:30, and I need to be ready for my guests around 8. Now, imagine I stop by Whole Foods, which is exactly 5 minutes from my place on High Street, Kensington. If I enter the store tonight, the last thing I want is a sophisticated customer experience. What I want tonight is a very efficient customer experience. I want to make sure I can enter the place, buy some bacon, eggs, pasta, and pecorino cheese and Parmesan cheese, and go to the self-checkout line, hopefully with the just walk out technology that Phil has mentioned. So I do not interact with any human being, and I can leave the place in a matter of seconds so that I can go to my place and start cooking. So in other words, the kind of experience that I want tonight is an experience designed for a locator that is only interested in locating the product, and leaving the store as fast as possible. Problem is that if I go to the same store, so same person going to the same store on a Saturday afternoon, while I buy something, I browse for some products, perhaps I go to the wine area, and if there is a sommelier telling me the story of that specific Chardonnay and recommending the right wine to pair with the fish that I want to cook that night, I will indulge and spend probably half an hour speaking with the sommelier and learning from wine and understanding what is the right wine for me. And I'm the same human being going to the same store. It's just a different moment in time. It's just a Saturday afternoon where I have more time. And if I turn and I see some caviar, which I don't like, I would probably still spend some time looking at the products, at the packaging, at the price, just because I'm curious. Now, in that case, I'm not even interested in buying the product. I'm just curious. So imagine these three different profiles. We can call them three different customer personas. And we can even claim that we are going to design the layout of the store and the promotions and the retail marketing strategy around these three personas. But the reality is that it's very hard to decide what to do, because we're talking about the same human being, the same person, and it's just different behavior considering what I like, what I don't like, and how much time I have at my disposal. So in the book, we pay a lot of attention to this idea of trying to understand the wants, needs, and desires of specific human beings. So to be personal, not just personalize the customer experience. Because again, technology can help in these cases, but when it comes to the specific customer behavior, there are so many irrational actions, or apparently rational actions, that humans tend to take, that it's not that easy. And that's another reason why we thought it was important to stress this be human guiding principle in the book and the customer experience for humans. Fabio, I think we should wrap up now. Sorry.
Yes, definitely. So was great. Thank you so much, Professor Kotler. Thank you so much, Giuseppe. Was very nice to understand revolution and evolutionary activities in retailing and suggestions to cope with this in a very complex situation. And I think from the examples I heard, there are a lot of examples that may fit the Italian situation in a very easy way, no? And also a lot of examples that may think Italians also to a different perspective. So thank you very much, Giuseppe. Thank you, Professor Kotler. It was a great pleasure having you, and we hope to see you soon.